Aren't you coming from the computer?
From where, mate?
Aren't you coming live in front of the computer, as in the camera?
Yeah.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday Trading Buddies. And this will be the last time that I actually do this introduction because today officially I'll be handing over. Usually it's the old guard hand over to the new guard, but today I would say the new guard, which is me, I'll hand back over to the old guard, Jeff. Now, I actually don't really like to use the word old guard. I would prefer to use the word experience because in the world of trading, old and experience is equivalent to what locals, as I said, steady for BP. They are steady and consistent and they know what they are doing. They are less prone to bouts of nonsensical trade, which I would say sometimes I still do. Yeah, as I've shown you, sometimes I'm very tempted to trade reversals. Yeah, but for the old guard, experienced ones like Jeff, they really stick to their plans. And actually, Jeff is one of the very first few traders, other than Mikey, which I try to emulate. Yeah, because where Mikey sticks to a plan, I would say Jeff's technical analysis skills at 10, which was 4.5 years back, was rock solid. Yeah. Throw him a chart with a couple of lines, he will show you exactly, he will show me at that exactly what should be my bias or sentiment be. So without further ado, welcome back, Jeff.
Cheers, buddy. Look, thank you so much for filling in for us. And I believe your results speak far louder than the words that you've just spoken about me. And I think I'll be learning a fair bit more about that as we get into the trading buddies and all our trading buddies come back in. And it's going to be wonderful to talk to them and get updated on what's been going on. How was it? Did you enjoy it?
I did. Rather enjoy it in two ways. First, it allows me to consistently throw charts at Alexis, which makes her feel uncomfortable because that's not the way how she trades usually. Yeah, and second thing, I would say, I just kind of enjoy, as you know, trading by ourselves, trading is a lonely business. Yeah, so sometimes throwing ideas in front of everyone, getting their feedback, comments, I think it's kind of fun.
Yeah, look, totally. I mean, that's the whole show. That's why we started it, because I remember going back now 15 years when I first started trading. And boy, oh boy, could I have done with some help then. Someone looking over my shoulder, or even, as you say, just to roll things off and say, am I on the right track here? Am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the wrong thing? Should I actually be doing something else, blah, 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 blah. But then as you get a little bit more advanced, you, and I love your mantra, which is, and I forget it every single time, but I know the meaning of it. It's take heed of what people are saying, but don't rely on what people are saying. It's very much the case that you have to develop your own style, and you have to, yes, take advice, take it on board, but don't use it as a blueprint. It's something that you need to develop under your own steam. And I think the opportunities that you've probably given these guys in the room to learn a different way to look at markets is fantastic. But there's so many ways that you can trade. It's just crazy.
Yeah, 1,001 ways, and I will absolutely agree with you. Take heed of what everyone is saying, but do not let the other traders influence ultimately how we want to trade. Yeah. So I mean, everyone has their golden nuggets, which actually I would say comes from their personalized trading style. Yeah. Which is good to hear, but may not necessarily good for each individual trading plan.
Oh, totally. Look, let's face it, we all start with a strategy. We all trade a strategy. And that's really the best way to start, because it does teach you that you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to be disciplined, you have to have a candle pattern, you have to have a support resistance. Whatever the rules are of that strategy, you have to keep to them. And if you're prepared to do that, then you will learn discipline. And look, it took me years, frankly, to be able to, I would say 5 years. I've been asked that question 100 times. And I think it was 5 years before I actually started to understand how, and I always phrase it, not to lose. And I think that's probably the the turning point for me was learning how not to lose, rather than just, as you said before, flippantly just enter into the market for just because you can see a candle pattern, or just because you feel good that day, or whatever the case may be. It took me 5 years, a good 5 years, to learn that. And as soon as I did, you come 180 degrees, and you're turning consistent losses into consistent profits. And once that starts, you start to get the experiences, as you referred to before. And once you've got that, you shouldn't look back from there. And being in an organization such as we are, we can continually learn different skills of different people. And wow, that's been so powerful over the last 4 or 5 years for all of us, hasn't it? I mean, we've just picked up so much from the different traders that we mix with. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think the one thing that just now what you said I picked up is it took you 5 years.
Yeah.
So it took me 2 years. Then in that sense, I have to say you did a great job to me. You cut short my journey. I did not take
well, totally. That's why the organization exists, because Paul and Roy understood that. And that's why I joined them, frankly. I came from another trading organization, and I joined them because they had that vision. And it was all to do with putting a community together, a community of traders together. And once you do that, you start to unravel the power. The power of that is enormous. And that's why Ash and I started Trading Buddies, to be fair, because we thought having somebody to roll off, not necessarily to actually even learn from, just someone to roll off, am I on the right track? Give you a little bit of confidence. And, confidence is a very, very big thing.
Actually, can I suggest something? Well, from this show, it's just only yesterday I learned that Sui, one of your avid listeners, she's actually a full-time trader. Maybe sometimes you should actually ask her into the show, because it seems like her trading has been doing quite well.
Excellent. Very pleased to hear it. I mean, Swee and I have had a few conversations, and she is one of those people who has to be a winner. And the reason for that is she's so dedicated and she puts so much into it. If you do that consistently, there's only one result. You have to come out the other side, and coming out the other side is very liberating, as we all know, once we've done that. And it's just like, I don't know. I remember I go back, gee whiz, I'm going back 40 odd years now, 37 years actually. And you wear glasses, I wear glasses, right? Before I wore glasses, I was driving along the street, just in my day-to-day routine. And there were things I just didn't notice. And I remember my mentor in television, actually, when I was a young person, took me down to the optometrist to pick up my glasses after I'd had my glasses made. And on the way back to the studio, I was going, BP, those massive big BP signs, or whatever the signs are on the fuel stations. I could actually see them, and before that I could never see them. And I relate that 100% to what goes on in particular charts. Charts are my thing, right? I like charts. And that's exactly the experience that I had with trading. Wow, I can actually see. It's like I just learnt the language of trading charts. And yeah, it's a very, very powerful thing. Mate, I guess we should start talking trading. Have you got anything to share today, or
no?
You just want to go and relax?
I'm in today just to hand over, not share charts, but to look at your charts. Yeah, I think I'm done.
You just want to chill, okay?
Yeah.
Mate. I don't know if you can see Ash's chat. He's been trying to chat to me, and I haven't been able to answer him fully. Right. Can you send him a link, please? He can't get in. He can't get in the room. That'd be awesome. Thank you very much. All right, guys. So here we go. Can I remember how to do this? Is the question. I need to have some charts. And look, I've got to say it's wonderful to be back, guys. Really enjoyed my break, but it's also great to be back and sharing with you what I do. and how I look at the markets. And hopefully you'll be doing exactly the same with me and Ash when he actually gets into the room. I do notice that we had a welcome change in the way we get into the room, and I think Ash is just a little bit confused. Thank you, Paul P. Great to be back, mate, and great to have SF. How are you? Hi, Swee. And hello to everybody else in the room. Righto. First things first, we had 2 game changer bars on the weekly charts this week, and I'm going to show you both of them, and we are actually trading one of them, but not as a weekly bar. This was the one that we actually got into. It is a game changer bar. You notice that I have CAD Swiss just triggered. Thanks, SF. I actually didn't want it to trigger on this bar, but you have to take it, I suppose. Aussie CAD. Game changer bar that I used to call a key reversal bar, right? Now, all key reversal bars, or now I call them game changers. Why? Because I just want to brand them. Everyone else calls key reversal bars. Well, at least I think they do. I want to call them game changers because I think they are. So monthly bar snuck below previous monthly bar prior to the close yesterday, of course, snuck below, or did it, this horizontal level that I thought was pretty critical. And if you have a look at that on this chart, you can see how strong that is. It has been very, very strong support and not so much resistance, but very, very strong support. I only want it to be support here at this point in time. Yes, I can see the fact that we're in a waterfall here, but waterfalls also have little ponds and they retrace a little bit before they go again. And I think this may well be one of those cases. Now, I've got no fundamental reason to be thinking that the Aussie would outstrip the CAD at the moment, especially if oil is continuing to rally. And I do note that we have OPEC meetings today, and thank goodness Ainsley is in to talk about oil, because that may sway me a little bit with this trade and what I do next, frankly. But the Aussie had some good numbers out today on GDP figures. They weren't sensational, but they were a beat on the forecast. So fundamentally, I suppose we're in a little bit of a swaps, bit of good, bit of bad. The trade was based on not fundamentals, of course. It was based on we were coming back above that horizontal level. And, of course, we got that weekly game changer bar. Too hard to trade that because we were trading straight into the monthly pivot. So the answer to that was no. We were looking for a retracement. We got it. We got it on the daily chart. Didn't trade it on the daily chart. We got it better on the 4-hour chart, but essentially, I suppose we actually traded the daily bar because we got a little bit above it. That's a classic, really. At the end of the day, if you have a look at that 4-hour chart, it's broken the trade line, it's come back below it, hit the confluence area, weekly pivot and trend line, and bounced off it. I absolutely hate trading bull bars long, but there you go. I couldn't not trade that. It was such a technical scenario that we had to do it. We're now past TP1, which was up here somewhere. I can't remember exactly where, underneath last month's monthly pivot, of course, maybe just about there underneath the highs, actually. And this looks like it might have a little bit of in it, a little bit of strength in it. We'll see how that goes. The other one was pound yen. Now, the weekly chart on pound yen was suggesting that we had, and it's only just there, exactly the same thing. We had a game changer bar. Not really there, is it? In terms of, gee, I really want to jump into that. It's more like, okay, gee, I can see this breaking to the downside. Monthly pivot again was dead ahead. That, of course, has changed today because we've got a change of month. But at this point, it looks as though it does want to go to the top of that range. And I guess that's probably the other thing. We were at the bottom of the range, and I think I said as much in my preview that I wanted to see a pullback to the weekly pivot. I suppose, to the weekly pivot here. It hasn't happened, and until that does, I wouldn't be interested in trading that. I'd want to see a significant higher low at the end of the day. Look, that really, so I better go to CAD Swiss, hadn't I? CAD Swiss, I really didn't want to get taken out on that bar. I want to see a pullback, but there you go. I am trading CAD Swiss long. Why? Well, primarily because it was a game changer bar on Monday, followed by an inside bar yesterday on Tuesday. That's normally a very good combination. And because my analysis said I wanted to see a weekly pivot test, it happened too fast, and we missed that one on Monday, of course. But it is really showing me a false break of that support trade line, up, back, weekly pivot test, confluence area with the trade line, and looking for further upside. It's got to get through DR1 today. I don't know. That's probably it's certainly a possibility. I don't know if it's a probability. So we'll probably have to hang on to our britches here for a bit. We might get a little bit of pullback before we get to TP1. But if we get the TP1, who cares? It's not the end of the world. So I'm just going to end my little analysis there. There are a few more things that I'm looking at. I'm also looking at I've got more screens these days. I've added another couple of screens. I've now got 6 of the bloody things because I want to have a look at the 30-minute charts, and in particular euro dollar, where I currently see a potential long on the 30-minute chart. We'll get to that a little bit later as we get to the bottom of the half hour. But in the meantime, let's say very, very big g'day to me buddy, me big trading buddy Ash. How you doing, mate? Can't hear you, mate. Don't know why.
There we go. There's a good start to the
there's a reason.
Restart the session. Yeah, very good, mate. Very good. Feel rested, and
you look fresh.
Yeah, I had a nice break. But I feel like I need a holiday from the holiday. But I'm all right.
That's why I was surprised nice. You look fresh if you've been on a farm for a week or so.
Yeah, and it was with really, really good friends as well. So you know what those nights end up being like, and it was
I do
for a week. So yeah, feel fresh from at least not having to think about kind of anything, but just enjoying myself, which is quite nice,
Cool. So your break was good. Mine was. I
brilliant.
mean, I really am. I did feel refreshed from trading. Okay, I know I've been looking at the daily charts every day, but I haven't been looking at anything since morning time when I do my analysis and maybe place a daily trade. But that's it. I haven't looked at the chart since, and I feel good for it.
Yeah. I mean, I've been trading actually because it's not a lot of time equity for me anyway. So when I kind of try and get into things, I am trying to get in and out relatively early in the morning. But I did get caught out towards the end of last month, but it managed to clear itself just before the start of this month, which is good. And I'll show you what we're looking at today. I am looking to go long on the FTSE, you might need to give me sharing screen abilities on the other Zoom that I've signed in. Let's make sure my name's right.
Okay, Anita, could you do that for Ash, please?
I think I'm.
Or Lloyd, if you still got control. I don't know who's got control. I think Lloyd was telling me his trading was pretty good. In fact, I would say exceptional. While he's been doing the show, he said he's up 16% on the month. That's pretty cool.
Well done, buddy. Very good work. Very good work. I think we should get you to do the trading, and Jeff and I can just do the blabbering.
There you go.
He can't unmute himself. And I can't share screen. Let me just see what I've got here. Okay, I'm all right now. That's perfect. That should be that. And you should be looking at the FTSE 100. There we go. So, so as I say, it was quite fortuitous because I was short yesterday. And I really needed the profit to be taken relatively low. As this was going up, I had to get out down here at 70.80, and it just managed to trigger me, and I put in my orders, and it triggered me in. And the reason it was quite fortuitous is that now you can see that we are quite solidly going to the upside, and I am keen to get long, but I'm not going to trade at these particular levels, even though it may well just rock through this point without any problems at all. But I'm just waiting for a little bit of a pullback. So on your charts, I'm looking for around about 20 pips to the downside, so probably 71.57 area, possibly down to this 71.30 on the futures, which is probably around about 71.47, 71.50 on the UK 100. But it's looking really hot, mate. And we've got this infrastructure bill coming up relatively soon. You know, I think it's either at the end of September or sometime in October that the president's likely to sign that off. And the markets are buoyant. You know, we had a little bit of a choppy end to August, maybe with some of those options expiring. We got some data today as well. We got the ISM data today as well, and ADP non-farm payrolls, which really does start to take center stage. I don't know if you listened to the minutes from the Jackson Hole Symposium speech, and I didn't listen to it. Well, I did some research on it, and there's no doubt that the tapering talk is just starting to pick up quite significantly. And it spooked the market somewhat, but there was also this kind of caveat to say tapering may be on, but the likelihood that we start to raise interest rates is pretty slim. So the markets don't seem to be too worried about that. Subsequently, we see the VIX dropping down. So we see that there is a complete lack of fear. You know, people aren't too worried. Look at this massive spike that we saw around about middle of August. And there was a little bit of a run to the upside with the VIX, but that's just subsiding relatively significantly, actually, from its highs right back down now again. So we do have opportunities really to go long on the market without too many concerns at this particular stage. And certainly because we're going to get in and out, then we don't need to worry about the terrain changing. But now Jackson Hole's kind of passed, then we need to start looking at the infrastructure, looking at some of the positive things. But we've got to keep our eye on that unemployment data, because it's the unemployment data which may push the Feds to an earlier interest rate hike, because that is what Jerome Powell and Kaplan and the others have really been talking about, is that the environment isn't right to raise interest rates. Tapering, not a problem at all. And they're probably in the danger zone when it comes to tapering. They can't continue to kind of pump the liquidity into the market. But raising interest rates probably isn't currently on the cards because of the employment, because they're not at that maximum employment or near to full employment. So we need to keep our eye on the ADP, and it could be that the ADP number just kind of tempers the moves a little bit. And we'll bring up the ADP. Let's have a look at the news today and see what we got potentially shaping our week and our day, and what we got here.
Cheers, Lewis. I've got your message there, mate. I'm guessing you're listening on a phone or something, but that's all good.
Here we go. So decent numbers from Australia today. We've got ADP non-farm employment down at 1:15 UK time, and this is going to be an important release today. We'll get a little bit more of a look at the ISM manufacturing as well. Is there a continuance, a slight easing to the downside in the pace of growth in the United States? And we might start to see that come into play a little bit more. And then we got Bostic speaking later on. So all these things are going to be pretty closely watched because of the dynamic with the interest rate hikes. Unemployment claims tomorrow as well. So we got a couple of those important numbers, and then non-farm change on Friday with the average earnings. So it's a really big week, and then obviously first services PMI to again give us a look at whether we've got some of that further growth. The question really comes, because this is the news, does this start to cap the kind of bullish sentiment that we have with the market until these numbers are released? Or are we kind of, have we got the green light to go because of the general kind of music that was coming from the Symposium, which, as I say, is not talking about interest rate hikes at all. It's way down the line. I think they're probably intimating at that, and S&P continues to push to the upside.
And you've also got it's end of holidays now too, isn't it? 1st September, is everyone's back at work? Is that right?
Pretty much, mate. Yeah, pretty much. I think by certainly by next Monday, it'll be all back to normal. We haven't got the schools fully back yet, so that might have a little bit of an effect on whether people are fully back to work. But yeah, I think that is the case, that that we are getting back to, people are getting back in their seats, and we have seen, look at this is a really positive move from the lows on the FTSE. It's maybe not that positive. I thought it was a bit more significant, but up 1% from the lows. I thought it was a bit more significant of that, and that's sometimes the danger of comparing short-term timeframes with some of the longer ones. But for me, it would have been a great move if I'd caught the bottom, but I wasn't looking at that particular stage. I had my orders in the market when I was away, and the market's closed, but we've had a decent takeoff. But there's the first job of any trader is to get the direction that they want to trade, and if you can get that right, then it gives you quite a lot of room to maneuver when it comes down to getting the exact timing of your entry. Now, we are looking for the longs, and the reason I mention this is that I wouldn't be completely uncomfortable getting in long here. It wouldn't bother me too much about getting in long here, but it's just not really my in the long run, using that particular strategy is not the best way to do it, because if you do get the signals slightly mixed up on your direction, on your directional bias, then that can cause problems. I can tell you this morning, the directional bias signals are really, really solid. They are really they're giving a huge green arrow to the upside. So I've got very few questions that it's going up to this point here, which is around about a 25 pip move. It's only about a third of 1% move, but that would be enough for me. So I've got no qualms about that, but I still want to try and squeeze the best price out of this. So,
in general, would you say market sentiment is bullish?
Very bullish, mate. Yeah. Really good market sentiment as we start the day. And probably you could count it as starting the week in many respects as well, because we had the bank holiday and now it's the start of the month. So
season, hump day.
Yeah, the market's
all happening
today. Confident.
Markets are confident, and you know, we look at some of these other kind of indications of confidence as well. Bitcoin is you know, it struggled at this 50,000 mark, but that also looks like a fairly decent hold here. It may come down to around about 40, 45, but things look pretty good with Bitcoin. I was watching some analysis yesterday about the fact that Bitcoin is a stone's throw away from what is now a golden cross, where the death cross was in play a little while ago. The golden cross is coming into play. So very bullish signs and signals on Bitcoin. And if we look at Bitcoin as a bit of a proxy for confidence, then the markets look good. Gold, though, is starting to become fascinating. And the reason that I think it's starting to be fascinating is there was a company that
that's the daily chart, right?
This is a daily chart. Yeah, this is a daily chart. And
wow.
big V shape recovery on the gold market, gold futures market. What are we looking at there? Since pretty much the first week was done in August. So second week in August and a nice V shape recovery. But I think you've got to really start liking gold. I've seen a couple of reports now of some significant buying going on. Oh, look, it's Ainsley. She'll tell us all about it. But Germany, did you see that story, Ainsley? The Germans are stacking up their gold reserves, and you know, we can't hear Ainsley. So we need to give Ainsley some power so she can unmute herself, and Lloyd actually. Both Lloyd and Ainsley can't unmute. So whoever's got control, that would be great if you could do that.
Yeah, I wish I had that control. No, I won't say it. I can see a buy.
Yeah. Well, I think the indication looks like a buy. I can't remember the name. Ash, I'm the host, but I can't. Oh yes, I can. Sorry. Yeah. There we go. I can unmute both of those guys. There we go. Thank you.
Ash, you're the one that actually mute us.
Thank you, mate. How are you doing?
Doing well, fine, great, and happy to actually finally hear you, Jeff, and your voice.
Oh, mate, well, I feel like we might be the passers-by today. It's going to take a little while to get used to this. Look at that footsie.
You go.
Well, I was gonna say, should we bring Ainsley in, mate? Because we're on gold at the minute, and I haven't got a trade just yet on the footsie. I'm gonna be pulling the trigger relatively soon, and I will bounce everybody in when I do. But Ainsley, I've seen, there was a company, I can't remember the name of the company. They didn't buy a lot in conjunction with the whole gold market, but this is a company that had no debt, and it was a bit of a story. They had no debt, and they were buying gold, and there seems to be this protection going on in the background. You know, Germany, as I say, have been really encouraged to buy. The Germans are buying quite a lot of gold. So the central banks are, and from what I gather, the citizens as well. I mean, it seems to be you know, something that's been encouraged over there. Are we likely to get a change? Is this the time that we should be looking to buy?
Yes. Yes. Jules did you were in that?
Yeah.
In that session where he had a colleague of his who actually thinks it's ready to go to 12,000 over the next 18 months to 2 years.
Yeah.
Now, oh no, hang on, he didn't give the time frame. That's right, didn't give the time frame, but a significant increase, it definitely over the next 18 months. Now, it's gold that hasn't played nicely very much at all this year. I didn't like it very much at all. Even last night, there was a pullback in gold, $14 in under an hour, which is for gold, yeah, it whips around, but there was no news. It was just end of month and squaring up, I guess. But we're consolidating at the moment. If you have a look at it on a weekly chart, you'll have a very nice pin bar. Weekly, there we go. Look at that,
yep.
Low test bar bouncing off a significant level. That is a significant level, by the way. That is the 0.618 Fibonacci from the March to August. Actually, it was the 1st of August. March to August run up from last year. And mine's a lot neater than yours.
Oh, do you know what? I'm on the futures.
Oh, okay. Because it came down, and I showed Jeff a couple of weeks ago when it actually, and he went, "Oh my, it was right to the tip." It was right to the tick, and it was absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
So you've got this ring low. You're going to consolidate. You put your pivots in. You put a few other indicators, and it's just being very textbook at the moment, and it is looking solid, really, really solid as far as. It is meant to rally from July through to September. Then it normally has a pullback October, November, end of November, and it's around end of November, so like from the 27th of November through to about the 12th of December that we start to look for big, strong moves in a rally forward. But we didn't get that strong move this time. We obviously had a small retracement in July. That price action on the large pin bar happened on the Monday morning after the pullback on the NFPs for August. So it all sort of collapsed. I think too many stops were hit, to be quite honest, and came flying back down. And there we have it. And it's consolidating a little bit at the moment, but price action on the 4-hourly chart is all above the 20 EMA. So it's holding nicely above the levels and above pivots. And last week it was all above the weekly pivot. It didn't close below the weekly pivot. So whilst we're having some horrid moves as far as it's not doing what I would like it to do in the way it normally does it, it's getting there. You know, it's inching up and consolidating really hard, which is good. If you have a good period of consolidation, you can expect a really good move.
Yeah, and if Jules is right on the $10,000 mark, I don't suppose it really matters where you get in around. You know, all that volatility is irrelevant, isn't it? It's just
It's
My
just
only
if you
problem-
believe.
It depends
Yeah.
where you put your stop, I suppose.
Well, I suppose my thoughts on that is if it's going to 10,000, then would you just buy it? Just buy the actual underlying commodity rather than worrying about trading
All
it.
the miners, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But at the moment, look, as I said, it's not looking like it's going short at the moment, but it's being bought up, and it's being bought surreptitiously, as you said, by companies that have that are using it as a hedge for whatever's coming down the track. Now, we had that strong move up after that was the Jackson Hole Symposium, where Powell isn't ready to taper just yet. He is happy with the mandates for employment and inflation. He said that the economy is on a good footing. What has tempered his stance is the impact of the Delta variant, which is really, as you know, last week, it was really ramping up in the States, and they've still got quite a few unvaccinated. So he had actually put it down to, at the symposium, he had put it down to the Delta variant and where that could go. That was his comment. That was in his opening comment. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what that does. But that's why gold had that move up, but we've just drifted back down a little bit. Last night I think it was just a squaring of the books and just flipped us back down and back up again. But, 1812 is still holding there. But we've got to get over the 1820, and then we've got to get over the 1835 level. And then I think we're up pretty solid again. The move should go fairly easily up around to 1860.
I wonder as well. I wonder with, and this is the other thing, what you're saying about stops, Jeff. I also wonder with gold whether it's going to be one of those things that it's going to be very difficult to catch when it starts moving. And if you've just got a position that you're building into,
Once it does,
with no leverage, then it might be the only way to play it. It might well, not the only way to play it, but it might be the safest way to play it, because you could, if we're talking about these little spikes that seem to be happening right now, we could get quite a few situations where you stopped out before it actually gets going, and then you might get stopped out for the last time and you're not in on the big one. So I would have thought something quite wide and let it start moving, maybe even scaling into it, after you've got your small position on, might be the only way to play it.
Show me the daily, please, mate.
The daily, yeah.
Yep, there's a
exactly
slingshot trade there now. And
above here?
Yeah, above that. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Stops. I think if you go below the consolidation it broke out of, so yeah, down there, yeah, maybe even underneath that red bar.
Yeah, do you know? Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about stops that wide, then I think you should be okay, shouldn't you?
No, I'm never going to say that.
I mean, that's
what's that?
$50.
Is that $50?
Yeah.
Holy smokes! Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what's that in the scheme of things? 50 to get 12,000.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree, and that would be the way that I'd be a lot more comfortable, kind of like edging into it.
What are the holding costs?
Oh, look, my broker's just given me a deal on gold. I have no holding costs anymore. I probably paid my dues for quite some time.
Cool.
So,
Are they normally voracious though?
Yeah. And that's what I said. If I consolidate on if my holding costs become half a percent, equivalent to a 0.5% of one of my trades, then I close the trade out, because if it consolidates or comes back down on me, that holding cost then becomes 1% very quickly.
Yeah.
And for me, when you're trading, I'm looking at basically a P&L for what I do. So in that regard, yeah, I've just got to keep an eye on it. But they've done me a deal, and I don't know the spread doesn't seem to have been pushed out. So, because obviously I'm being cynical. They want to no holding costs and no rolls. So I just immediately, well, what's my spread on this? But it's quite okay. I mean, bear in mind, March, April, May last year, the spreads were nearly 200 pips on gold. It just blew out ridiculously because everybody was jumping on.
Okay, you just talked me out of it.
But at the moment,
Lloyd, I like Lloyd's idea, but I don't know how to do that. But
well, do you know what I was going to say? Actually, this Pax Gold. There's a couple of them, but Pax Gold is really good because with Pax Gold, you buy the crypto, and then you can stake it. You can stake it on Celsius, and they pay you 5.5% in interest, which you're not going to get from gold. So you can have gold in a portfolio and hold it, or you can buy the Pax Gold token and stake it. So my problem, the problem with something like Pax Gold, and there's probably better ones out there for me, is that it's in dollars. So the exchange rate stings me a little bit, while I'm trying to sort of just make a one-to-one equation of just buy gold, put it in there, and stake it. I've also got to consider the price between the pound and the dollar. So it's not ideal, but that Pax Gold is a way forward. And as I say, there's a couple of, I think Tether might have one as well. But I would
DigiGold, different thing altogether. I know, but
DigiGold is from the Royal Mint, and DigiGold is fine, but they don't pay a dividend. But it's cheaper. You can certainly buy it cheaper from DigiGold. If you just hold the DigiGold. And what I like about DigiGold is it's backed by a supplier. So at least you're not kind of like with Pax. There's this big question going on right now. Pax have done it. I think Tether have done it, where they're getting investigated because they've got the stable coin that is, and I don't think they're holding the amount of notes that they are, saying that for the one-to-one. And if they were to do the same thing with gold, which they say they're not, but if they do the same thing with gold, you could be in all sorts of trouble. So at least with DigiGold, you've got the guarantee that it's in the vault of the Royal Mint.
That sounds like more my speed than
yeah.
The Royal Mint, very much up your alley there, Jeff.
Than the pretend stuff. Well, and I hesitate to call it that because, look, I know there's some incredible dividends being paid. What I don't understand is where they're being paid from, and to me, that still smells Ponzi or pyramid.
Yeah, well, I mean, not to kind of go too deeply into it because we're almost talking about the blockchain and cryptos, on the whole. But
business model.
Yeah, the business model. The business model is they mint a load of coins and everybody gets paid from the minting of the coins. And what they're hoping is that it becomes a use case. So eventually that comes the payment of the use of the coin that then ends up building the treasury back up again. So that's why it's really important to find a coin with a use case.
Sorry, go again, please. So
that's a good explanation, actually. Yes.
Is it
Thank
good?
you.
Then I need it to sink in. I was like this at school, right? The teacher used to say to me, he'd rattle off and he'd ride up on the board, and I'd be looking out the window, looking at the golf course down below, thinking I should be playing golf, and then I'd have to. Can you repeat that, please? And he used to get the shit, of course.
Yeah, sure.
But I had to hear it 3 times before I actually understood it, and I still don't understand.
Okay. So I'll do it in because this is the whole thing with Cardano, right? So and I do it on the Cardano kind of with the philosophy of why I bought it, because it ended up having a use case. So let's say they
that's flying, isn't it, at the moment?
It's doing really well, mate. Yeah, doing really well.
Well, so is Kasama.
Yeah, well, I think that it's another nice bull run, isn't it, in the crypto space? Let's just go with full. In fact, let's make it nice and easy. Let's say you launch a coin and then you say that we're going to have 10,000. That's going to be the total supply is 10,000, and then you've got people buying the coin. So it's going for $1 over here, and they're staking rewards of 5% over here. So
now stop there.
Yeah.
Where does the 5% come from?
So it comes from here. They just pay this, and then this is always going down. So if somebody buys $100 worth over here, then they'll get their $5, and then this becomes 9,995.
Yep.
And this goes down and down and down and down and down. But eventually what happens is it becomes a something with a use case. And let's say you're sort of like starting to use Cardano blockchain to mint your NFTs. When you do that, you have to pay fees, and then that starts to go back into this pool again to build it back up again.
Okay, go back to staking. Did you
so
say
when
stake
it starts? When it all starts, it's just your imagination. It's kind of money from thin air, effectively.
Yeah, that's what I see.
We call that speculation. We call it a Ponzi scheme. But anyway, well, we digress.
That is true. That is true. But I suppose that the Ponzi scheme can become something, because it's no different than you saying, I've made this.
I thought that about the last Ponzi scheme that I was in, when I got a letter from the liquidator saying that I was going to get 5% of my however many $1,000 back, and I'm yet to be convinced that this is not the same thing.
Well, it sort of is, mate. But it's just gotta. In a way, if you designed a product and you said my dollar's worth $5 and this is what it does, and you took it home and it didn't do that, the product is fake. But if the product ends up being able to do that, sort of like with like further investment, then could you say it started as a Ponzi scheme, or was it just a product which was still in, maybe you launched too early, maybe it's still in development? So,
as I said, the last one that I was in, which is like 20 odd years ago, sounded great to me. The basis was fine. The theory behind it sounded great. All you needed to do was to keep liquidity there. That's all you needed. As long as liquidity stayed.
Really, what's happening is
that you were okay.
But Cardano build a network, and they say this is what our network we want to do with our network. So people buy into it and say, okay, well, if you can do that, then you will have something that comes back, and that's where I wouldn't say it's a Ponzi scheme, because at no point are they saying this is what it does. They're saying this is what we believe it's. This is what we're building. And okay, you could argue that they should have built it before they launched, but that's not the way these things work, so people get involved.
Okay, so it's crowdfunding at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. You can look at it absolutely like that. Yeah.
Okay, that's more interesting. The problem you've got there is that those who buy in low, who've got no interest in the coin in the first place, will dump it as soon as they get enough profit, right?
Which is why you go to something like Cardano that's got a very loyal and almost religious group of people that won't get rid of it. They'll never get rid of it. Nobody sells it.
I think I understand far greater than I did when we started this conversation. Thank you, buddy.
Okay,
yes.
That's why we have trading buddies. Right? Sorry, eh?
I said no thanks, because as you know, Jeff, I go left right. I don't go up down with accounting. So I need to balance it, and I can't. I struggle with. Well,
I mean, it is the thing is, it becomes confusing because it's the Wild West. You got crypto punks selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and there's no use case there. It's just that they believe that in the future it will be worth more money. So that's like a piece of art. That is genuinely like you going out and going, that piece of art is brilliant. I'm going to give you $10, but I think in the future it'll be worth 20. But it's not, it's the value that's assumed value. That's almost a different field entirely. But the NFT space is even more fascinating because it's, there's no use case for many of them.
Did I say I was going to place a trade on euro dollar on the 30-minute chart?
No, but let's do that.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you did?
Oh, you mightn't have been here.
Was it rhetorical?
I said I was. But what I need to do is share with you why I'm probably not going to do that. Let me go there. So I'm a bull. Sorry?
So I was going to say at some point we must hear from Lloyd and check his ideas as well for the week. But let's do this.
Completely. We have, like I said, a genuine slingshot set up here to trade this long, but there's a genuine problem, and it's called an untested daily pivot dead ahead. So the risk here is far outweighing the reward. When I say that, the reward's probably here somewhere, 23 pips. The risk is about half that, but you've got to get through there, and that's the problem. With euro dollar, the daily pivot is sacrosanct. It's almost godlike, and I don't trust it not to drive price back to here, because we can still put in a higher low before where our after our stop loss is taken out, which has to go there, right? So yes, I'm keen to trade that back up to here, but I've got to take that risk factor into consideration, and it is simply not there. Look, I'll be doing that pretty much every half hour for the next 100 years that we're on air, guys, because I love to trade the euro dollar 30-minute chart after the first candle of London session. So you'll get that every single time. I'll butt in and tell you what's going on if I am going to take the trade, and I normally do at this time. This is my prime time to trade euro dollar half hour, but I can see it going there, but I can't take the risk. Simple as that. There you go, mate. Sorry. You're muted again, Ash, and you're in control. How
Sorry. I'm not in control.
No, he was never in control. No.
I was just saying I've got.
I should rephrase that.
Not in control.
I've got a similar issue with the FTSE where I can't justify getting in at these levels, even though I think it's going higher. Let's talk to Lloyd, mate. What's obviously you've had an interesting month, Lloyd. Jeff's probably already quizzed you about that. Where are we from here on in?
I don't quite get that question. What am I where?
Well, are you now indoctrined into the Trading Buddy network and tapestry?
That's a big question.
Right?
Well, if you're getting 16%, we want you.
This might just be a fluke one that I got it.
A fluke over a month? I don't think so, mate. I mean, I'd say you may not get another 16%. You may well get 25%, but it's certainly not a fluke if you're calling trades that successfully. What's the keys to the success, mate? Do you think is it just a very good market for your particular approach? Was it good to have the pressure? Was it good trading with Alexis? I mean, what would you think helped over the last month specifically?
I think for me it's a bit unique. I'm actually the what helped me was that I managed to switch strategy, because I'm trading 4 to 5 strategies at one go.
Right.
So the moment I realized that my usual trend trading setup is not working, I switch over to my counter trend setup.
Nice.
Yeah. So if I'm sticking to one strategy, then I don't think it'll work out for me this month. It just so happened that I can switch over to my counter trend style.
And what encouraged you to switch? I mean, what did you see in the market that made you think, actually, we're in this other environment right now?
At the end of the day, it will still be the currency indices, because for the past, I think 5-6 weeks, when I look at the currency indices during the Sunday analysis, I've been saying that, look, if everything is lopsided, I see the currency indices that is heavily on the buy side or heavily on the sell side, then that means a reversal is coming in sooner or later.
Yeah.
Because in a healthy market, I should have seen probably like two strong currencies, 2 weak currencies, something along that line.
Yeah.
And 2 or 3 in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. But from the currency indices, it's mostly I would say at the moment there are about 5 pairs that's really in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, compared to I think a month back, there are about 6 pairs which I see that is mostly on a sell signal. So if it's that extreme, then yeah, I know a reversal at the back of my head, I know it will be working out sooner or later.
Okay, so are we flipping again, or are we sticking with this particular approach for a while?
I will still be sticking. Now the market from the extreme reversal side seems to be calming down, going back to the ranging side.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say a range market will possibly be in play for the next 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, yeah, okay. And have we got anything we can look at, mate? You wanted people to disagree with you. I mean, Jeff's the perfect man for that.
Actually, all my trades have been triggered for this week already. There's only one trade yet to trigger. I'm not actually using my trading laptop to speak with you all. So whose trade am I looking at now?
Jeff.
Fine, mate.
Jeff. Jeff, can you share Aussie Kiwi?
I can.
Yeah, so Aussie Kiwi is the only trade that has yet to be, is the only trading setup that has yet to be triggered for me. Yeah. So,
what are you trading on, mate? Dailies?
H4.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you look at the H4 current chart, the last couple of candles, and you compare it to gold, which if you all recall, gold last week or the week before, it has a huge spike down, then it actually recover up. Yeah, it's looking really similar. And I know that Aussie is also a gold mining country. So
Yeah.
I'm suspecting that it will follow the same movement as gold. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know when gold rallies, silver and Aussie tends to lag behind. By
Yeah, I agree with you, mate.
1 or 2 weeks.
Aussie lags gold, but it's a good indicator. Yeah.
Yeah. So if gold has already made its movement, then now is the time that Aussie or silver and silver will be making its move. So I'm looking to long Aussie, which as it is, this is currently a setup to me, truth to be told.
Interesting.
Can I just add something that probably you haven't seen across the lines? Yesterday, it was reported the mining industry for the quarter posted a profit of $55 billion, which is a bit indicative of why the GDP figures were so good. That's a profit of $600 million a day for the quarter. Our mining industry is just going nuts.
Right.
So I mean, we saw all that time and all that news and the pessimism on the Aussie dollar, as Lloyd's pointed out, it's come down, it's spiked, and it's recovered really well. And one of the reasons for that is some of this underlying fundamentals of okay, we might be in lockdown, we might be doing it really tough economically in that regard, but the mining industry, that sector, that's going to sweep us through in the next couple of years, no doubt. Did you hear that one, Jeff?
Sorry, I was reading Crystal's question, and I was only half across what you're saying. You're talking about all the commodity prices going nuts.
Yeah, the
mining in particular. Yeah. Look, the Aussie dollar, a long time. Well, actually, it wasn't floated then, but it used to be said that the Australian economy rides on the back of the sheep.
Yep.
Or rides on the sheep's back, and I think that same could be said for commodities for the longest time now.
Yeah.
So I can't see the Aussie not rallying on the back of those commodity prices. So if mining is going nuts, then Aussie dollar is going to have to rally. If that was the question, sorry.
Yeah, no, that was the point. And one of the other things, I mean, I was reading about Andrew Fortescue. Fortescue has trying to say sub company, but a subsidiary. Wyloo.
Yep.
And they've made a bid for Norton nickel in Canada, and they've gone up against BHP, and the share price on that at the moment is 31 cents. And this is going to show the amount of money sloshing around. So they're trying to buy this nickel minery in Canada. Shares 31 cents. BHP offered 55 cents. Fortescue's subsidiary comes in and offers 70 cents.
Whoa.
We're talking big money. And obviously, nickel, anything that's on the periodic table of elements, we're probably looking pretty good to invest in anyway and play to the long side, because a lot of those things are needed for batteries and green energy and stuff. But yeah, just to underpin what Lloyd was just saying about the Australian dollar and why it's looking like it is, there's some pretty good fundamental, realistic bits and pieces that you can get your chops around. Oil.
Yeah, look, I've managed to trade against the hardest possible currency to trade against this week, but it's going okay. It's Aussie CAD. I find that very, very difficult to trade Aussie
Oh.
against the CAD because of that very reason. It's a tough one because they're both tied to commodity prices.
Yeah.
But CAD
Oh.
in particular is skewed by the oil price, and that's a nice lead in to what I want to hear from you right now. We've got OPEC meetings, right?
Yeah, we do. And it was funny, the last lot of OPEC meetings, they weren't too interested, but what they're talking about on, is it today their time, is coming up, and that's why I want to go click on an oil trade because it was a bit of consolidation, but I don't want to do it before the news. But they were just talking about, this will be the meeting about how much their gradual increase is going to be. So they had it slated for a gradual increase. Biden tried to put pressure on them a couple of weeks ago to increase the supply to reduce the price because that was affecting the gas prices, which were spiraling out of control. They politely just sort of gave Biden the cold shoulder on that and said, hey, we're in control here. You don't tell us what to do. That's coming up in this meeting, how much those increases are going to be. So they will be releasing a little bit, but I think they've gone to do it a couple of times, be a little bit enthusiastic with how much they were going to, because they need to pump. These guys want to pump oil, but they've realized they've got to do it in a very tempered and a controlled way, because otherwise they'll end up with a bit of a nightmare. And this, 2 weeks ago, say 2 to 3 weeks ago, there was very much that Delta variant impact being an unknown quantity. And then you had China that just had that knee-jerk reaction. They closed like that, just one of the largest port in China. They just closed it. They had one infected guy down there with the Delta variant. And they just shut the port down. Now that reopened last Tuesday of last week and everything went back to normal. But even so, they're just watching how that is. And it's the same with Powell and his comments about how this Delta variant, which is very different to the Alpha coronavirus, we just need to work out how that all goes. We don't know. But this slated meeting is for the increase, the lifting of the restrictions that they've had in place from last year. So whether that's a good thing. So looking at the oil chart, what do we reckon? What do you want? Is that's you're talking?
That's XTI.
Yeah, it's daily, isn't it? If you go down,
that is the daily. Yes.
Yeah, because if you go down to a 4-hour, you'll see a nice load of consolidation there. There we go. Now, if I get a nice close on my bar at 8 o'clock, which I think is, not that one. Yeah, across the top there, just a little bit higher than when I.
Hang on a minute, I'm just being creative.
There we go. Oh, sacre bleu! Look at that.
Now, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
Put that line in.
That lovely, thank you. And then one across the top, and that's what I'm looking for. If I get a close above that and it doesn't come backwards, obviously you stop halfway. Oh, there goes the dog. Yeah. Thank you.
You want a line across when you say it?
Max,
what sort of line do you want? What sort of line do you want?
That's fine. That upper line is all I'm looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the level of resistance. So it's just hanging in there at the moment. You can see it's just waiting on news. Look at it. It's just sitting there.
So is it going up or down? Buggy out.
Waiting on the news.
Right, waiting on the news. Like probably most things, I would imagine, this week.
Yeah. Like I said, look where it's sitting on the daily. It's just waiting. I think it will be long. I think it will be controlled, and I don't think they'll be bloody stupid about it or, go.
You don't think
if they release it and they said, oh, we stuff it, everybody can pump what they like, you can see it go straight back down. But we are seasonally, we should be rallying.
That looks pretty interesting.
Well, we've got, I mean, for the first hour done, and I'm the fact that Lloyd showed us the Aussie, and we've got the looks like the oil chart is at least at its highs here. The FTSE 100 is also on its highs for a few weeks anyway. It's looking pretty bullish right now. I mean, we going short, I think, on anything which is risk on would be the wrong call, and it's just whether we can get our trades in the long side. So I'm waiting on the FTSE, but market looks pretty buoyant right now, looking fairly keen to continue to push higher as we start September. I guess we're probably waiting on some of that news later on, and maybe after that we'll see some of these actually break out and start to push forward. Or it could be, as you say, Ains, it could be the the resolution of the stuff with OPEC. It could even be Friday's ADP non-farm payrolls. But
yeah,
looking pretty hot right now. So we should be wrapping up the show really right now. But certainly, to summarize from my point of view, I'm just waiting to get in somewhere on the buy side, but just can't quite justify it. How about you, mate? What's your final thoughts on the day?
Look, reasonably happy with what I've got. I'm not that happy with CAD Swiss. CAD Swiss is just hanging around entry and won't go through it, which is a bit of a bother. I didn't want to get in on this candle. I'll share it with you if I can work out how to do that. There we go. So we're really trading this false break here, and we were looking for this on Monday to get in here at this level, but we couldn't find a way in there, obviously. And now we've got the pullback. It's a clear game changer bar followed by an inside bar, which means we go long. It's struggling to break out of that area, obviously. Don't want to do anything. I think we're still right. I think we've got the right numbers. I think we've got our TP1 in the right place, which is up here. So I've got nothing to do, but I would expect a pullback. I really would. You may have to suffer a little bit of pain here before you actually get the result. So that may be a day or so away, maybe 2 days away, maybe 3 days away before we actually hit that level. So it might be hang on to your britches there for a while, guys. And I did anticipate that if we got taken in with a bar such as we're seeing at the moment. Other than that, got a few things that I have been looking at. Swissy Yen was one. And it's given me both a long and a short, which is always fun. You get that on the weekly chart. I'm getting top of range, maybe trade it back to the bottom. I'm also getting, pardon me, a potential double cross on that monthly. Is that the monthly pivot? Yes, last month's monthly pivot, of course. On the daily charts, I'm getting a whole lot of mess, but I'm getting game changer, inside bar, which suggests to me that this is going short. And when I go back to that chart, which says we're coming off the top, then maybe that's the course of least resistance. There's a big seller bar there, gone into consolidation. I think this can actually break to the short side, frankly, but getting in is tricky, right now. You could put an entry underneath that bar, put your stop loss above here, that would work. But do you really want to take that big risk into a reasonably short reward? Probably not. But on smaller time frames, there's probably something available up here somewhere. So if we got a false break of that area underneath the weekly pivot, retest the confluence, then I think you can probably enter that short. Cable's interesting. Put in a game changer bar yesterday, and I was almost tempted to take this morning, but I didn't. And you'd be probably in a bit of pain here at the moment if that were the case. But I think it's got potential. I just hate trading the US dollar at the moment. It's giving me the SH1Ts. I said to you, Ash, that in the whole month, I think I'm not sure how many trades I placed, but there weren't any losers until up came dollar yen, that stupid currency pair, dollar yen, and I actually traded again. I know at low risk, and I always trade at low risk these days, but it knocked me over again, the prick of a thing. And I've just got to put it on the barred list again, I think. Yeah. But pound US dollar, it does look to me like that that is a trade to the weekly pivot at least. What happens after that, I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. And I will say it, dollar Swissy in the middle of nowhere, but as soon as it gets to one of these extremes, I think you can safely trade it to the opposite. So if it gets to here, trade it up to there. If it gets to there, trade it back to there. And pretty much that's all I've got. But I will continue, as I said, to give you the euro US dollar every 30 minutes. And at the moment, we're in the middle of nowhere. But do like this scenario. I think this will break to the high side at some stage today. If it did come down here and give me what's really we've got a false break of the support trade line. You can see break, consolidate, back above, retest, but I just can't enter there, as I said before. I need to say probably a break and retest of the daily pivot would get me interested, but there's no resistance trade line that I can use as confluence. That's a worry. It's going to be tough to get in, but I think it's headed for DR1 today. We shall see. That's about me, mate, I think.
Great stuff. Anything from you, Lloyd, just to wrap us up?
Not really, just the Aussie Kiwi trade that I'm still eyeing on, and the natural gas long. Other than that,
what do we need to see there, mate?
Aussie Kiwi?
Yeah.
Oh, like I mentioned, the current bar is actually a setup bar for me already. So I don't mind jumping in at around 5 p.m. So looking at your chart, usually I aim for just the pure 3:1, and I'm happy with it.
So you would trade that buyer bar there?
Yeah. So I guess the pending order above, stop loss below, aim for 3:1, or for a much more conservative risk to reward, probably the monthly pivot. Sorry.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to be putting your entire life savings on getting through those pair, would you? I wouldn't have thought.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the one pair that I'll be trading at 5 p.m.
Nice, mate.
Cool. Okay. If I was to get a break and retest of that area, I think I'll be with you. So I might look for that on the smaller time frames, because I will be in front of the charts a little bit later today, which is unusual for me, but I need to get back in the swing of things. How you feeling, Ash? One done. And
one done.
467 to go.
Feeling right, mate. I'm finding myself getting a bit itchy fingered. I really want to get into this footsie, so I'm going to have to turn my charts off to make sure the temptation doesn't get the better of me. Yeah, feeling ready for it. Just to answer Crystal's question or point about.
Oh, sorry, Crystal, I forgot all about that.
Yeah, just about the coin. I'm just gonna have a look at that question again, and
I'm just going to draw this for argument's sake whilst you're setting that up, mate. I don't know why it won't let me do it.
So Crystal's point is, aren't coin tokens like shares of a company that will go up in value when the company does well? And the reason they're not is that people buy coins and tokens as complete speculation before they even know what they're going to do. Dogecoin being a really good example of that. Yes, now we're starting to see that Dogecoin are trying to get a use case, but people are buying stuff without any real reason. It's just Elon Musk was supposedly involved, so people bought Dogecoin. So that's why it's not like having shares in a coin. And things can do very, very well if we say that they should be bought, and things can do badly if we say that they should be sold. So there's in some respects they're almost completely opposite to shares. I mean, they're not having to provide us with a balance sheet. They're not having to provide us with inventory or profits, net profit or debt or borrowings or anything like that. So very different to shares, and it's not worth looking at them in the same way as shares. I wouldn't think them in the same way as shares at all.
Are you saying my oil chart?
I am, mate. Yeah, that's quite interesting.
Does that look like a trade plan for oil for the next day or so?
It does, actually. I like the inverted head and shoulders, and the inverted head and shoulder would come down to a perfect horizontal line that would go right away back to May. Somewhere. Well, no, actually higher than that. I like where you've drawn it on those close prices, and also if you look back in May the 31st, it looks like there's a bit of support, a support level that got broken a resistance level that got broken and has become support. So that does actually look like a really nice point.
Okay, I can see what you're talking about now. Yep, here.
Exactly. Yeah, that looks good.
Yep. Okay, cool. Ainsley, are you still there? I think she left us. I was just going to ask her. I was going to ask her opinion on that. I quite like.
Well, I'll ask her next week.
Okay. All right, we better POQ, eh?
Yeah, let's POQ. Thanks so much, guys, for joining us. Thanks to you, Lloyd. I hope that this is going to be a regular thing. It's really nice having you there in the background. If you know, I know it's probably quite maybe it messes up your day a little bit, but the more you're in, the better it is for with me and Jeff. The more trading buddies we have, the better.
100%. All right, guys, thank you for your company. Thank you for putting up with us for the first day back. I think we're probably a little bit rusty, but the trade should be okay, I think. Lloyd, mate, thanks once again. Really appreciate what you did over the last month, and we'll catch up with you as anytime you're ready, as you know. Guys, have a wonderful Wednesday, first day of September, first day of spring for some, first day of autumn for others. And Lloyd doesn't care because it's bloody hot all the time. Have a great day. Bye-bye for now.